Imagine walking into a room where every nose wrinkles at your presence, where people literally step back when you enter, holding their breath, where your biggest competitor in a debate weaponizes your poverty's smell and body odor against you. She had very strong body odor that smells quite bad. It was a pungent, unpleasant smell that trailed behind her wherever she walked. Yet you still walk out with the trophy in your hand. This isn't fiction. It's the true inspired story of how one girl from Ajagunle, one of Lagos's most impoverished neighborhoods, stunned Nigeria's elite schools, exposed their cruelty, and proved that brilliance doesn't need perfume. Stick around, because the way she turned their disgust into her victory will leave you breathless. And if you believe that dignity isn't determined by deodorant, hit that subscribe button. Your support helps us share stories of those who rise despite the stench of poverty. The glass doors of Nigeria's premier business school reflected everything Hope Johnson wasn't. Clean, polished, expensive. The 17-year-old stood outside for a full minute, watching students glide past in designer clothes and fresh haircuts. Their perfume lingered in the air like invisible barriers. Hope touched her ill-fitting blazer, bought from Mushin, a crowded, working-class area of Lagos market just yesterday. The fabric was already damp with sweat from the 2-hour bus ride. She knew what awaited inside. She'd felt it her whole life. The way people's faces changed when poverty walked into their clean spaces. But today was different. Today, she carried more than just the smell of struggle. She carried the hopes of every brilliant kid trapped in Nigeria's forgotten corners. The security guard looked her up and down twice. "You sure you're in the right place?" Hope showed her invitation to the National Youth Debate Championship. The guard squinted at it like it might be fake. Finally, he waved her through. The automatic doors opened to reveal marble floors that reflected overhead lights like mirrors. The air conditioning hit her immediately. Cold, clean, everything her life wasn't. The registration desk stood at the far end of the lobby. Hope started walking. Her footsteps echoed. Other students lounged on leather sofas, scrolling through phones that cost more than her family made in 3 months. Their conversations stopped as she passed. One by one, noses began to wrinkle. The smell followed her like a shadow. It wasn't just sweat. It was the accumulation of sharing one bathroom with 15 neighbors, of water that ran twice a week if they were lucky, of the small room where she, her mother, and 3 siblings slept. Poverty had a smell, and it clung to everything it touched. Security. How did she get past the gate? The voice cut through the lobby like a blade. Michael Anderson stood near the registration desk, pointing at Hope like she was a stray dog that had wandered in. His blazer probably cost $2,000. His father owned Nigeria's 3rd largest bank. His disgust was written across his face like a billboard. Hope kept walking. She'd learned long ago that stopping gave them power. The woman at registration barely looked up. Name? Hope Johnson, representing Government Secondary School Mushin, a crowded, working-class area of Lagos. The woman's fingers paused over her keyboard. Her eyes traveled from Hope's sweating face to her market blazer to the worn backpack hanging from her shoulder. Mushin, a crowded, working-class area of Lagos. Yes. Behind her, someone whispered, "I didn't know they were letting just anyone in now." Another voice, "What's that smell?" Laughter rippled through the lobby. Hope's face burned, but she kept her eyes on the registration woman. The badge printed slowly, too slowly. When it finally emerged, Hope clipped it to her blazer and turned to find the auditorium. The main hall was everything the lobby had promised. Rows of cushioned seats faced a stage with professional lighting. A banner stretched across the back. Excellence through expression. Nigeria's future leaders debate today. Hope counted maybe 60 students already seated, clustered in groups. International School Lagos here, American School of Abuja there, British School of Nigeria in the corner. Each group was an island of privilege in their matching blazers and careful accents. Hope found an empty section near the back. As she sat down, the students in the row ahead immediately stood and moved 3 rows forward. They didn't try to hide it. One girl held her nose, a boy sprayed cologne into the air. Their message was clear. You don't belong here. Her phone vibrated. A WhatsApp from her mother. Remember, you belong anywhere your brain can take you. Hope smiled at the screen. Her mother sold rice by the roadside, bending over a hot stove 12 hours a day. She'd never finished secondary school, but she'd made sure Hope had every textbook, even when it meant not eating lunch for a week. Is this seat taken? Hope looked up. A girl stood in the aisle, designer bag over her shoulder, iPhone in hand. She was asking about the seat 3 chairs away from Hope. No, it's free. The girl sat down, then immediately stood again. Actually, I think I'll sit closer to the front. She hurried away, typing something on her phone. Seconds later, Hope saw the Instagram post on the hall's projected social media feed. When they said diversity, I didn't think this diverse. The emoji made it worse somehow. Like her poverty was a joke. Like her presence was entertainment for Nigeria's wealthy children. Hope closed her eyes and breathed deeply. She'd prepared for this. Not just the debates, but the cruelty. Her mother had warned her, they will try to make you small, don't let them. Professor Helen Roberts entered the hall like she owned it. Harvard MBA, Oxford PhD. She'd written 3 books on African excellence in the global economy. Her shoes alone could feed Hope's family for a month. She surveyed the room with the kind of dismissive glance reserved for things beneath notice. Her eyes passed over Hope without stopping. Welcome to the National Youth Debate Championship. Professor Roberts' voice filled the space. You represent Nigeria's finest secondary institutions. Today we determine who among you can truly lead our nation's future. Michael raised his hand. Professor, I thought this was invitation only. His eyes found Hope as he spoke. The professor followed his gaze. All participants were invited based on their regional performance. Even from the public schools, Michael's tone made public sound like prison. The invitation criteria were clearly stated, Professor Roberts replied, but her expression suggested she shared Michael's surprise. Now, let's review today's format. The rules were simple: 3 preliminary rounds, top 16 advanced to quarterfinals, then semi-finals, then the final. Each round would have a different topic, announced 15 minutes before the debates began. Standard competitive format, 3 judges per round. As the professor spoke, Hope noticed how different she sounded from everyone else. Their English was American, learned from international school teachers and Netflix. Hers was Nigerian, learned from overworked public school teachers and BBC radio when they had electricity. Every word marked her as different, lesser, other. The first topic appeared on the screen. Merit-based admissions should replace quota systems in Nigerian universities. Hope's stomach tightened. Of course, they'd make her argue about the very system that gave kids like her a chance. The irony tasted bitter. She opened her notebook, the one she'd filled with arguments late at night while her siblings slept. The pages were worn from countless readings. 15 minutes passed like seconds. Students were called to different rooms for their rounds. When Hope's name was announced, she stood on legs that felt like water. The assigned room was smaller, more intimate. 3 judges sat behind a long table. 20 students filled the audience seats. Her opponent was Joy Stevens from the American School of Lagos. Everything about Joy screamed money, from her professionally styled braids to her manicured nails. She took the podium first, arguing against quotas with the confidence of someone who'd never needed them. Merit should be our only measure, Joy declared. When we lower standards for some, we lower excellence for all. The judges nodded. The audience murmured approval. Joy's American accent made every word sound authoritative. She quoted international studies, referenced Harvard admission policies, spoke like someone who'd already been accepted to Yale. Then it was Hope's turn. The walk to the podium felt endless. As she adjusted the microphone, someone in the audience coughed loudly. Weight Watchers. Snickers erupted. One judge frowned, but said nothing. Hope gripped the podium edges until her knuckles paled. Her voice shook on the first words. Distinguished judges, fellow students. She paused, swallowed, started again, stronger this time. My opponent speaks of merit as if it exists in a vacuum, as if we all start from the same place. But merit isn't just about ability, it's about opportunity. Her voice gained strength as she found her rhythm. She talked about studying under streetlights during power outages, about internet cafes where 5 students shared one computer, racing against time and hourly fees, about textbooks passed down through so many hands the pages fell out. In my school we have 80 students per classroom. One teacher, no library, no laboratory, sometimes no roof when the rains are heavy. Yet we're supposed to compete with students who have private tutors, personal laptops and libraries in their homes. The room had gone quiet. Even the snickering stopped. Hope looked directly at Joy. Yes, I know I don't look like I belong here. I know what you smell when I walk past. That's not just sweat, that's poverty. It clings to you when you share one bathroom with 15 families, when water runs twice a week, when choosing between soap and mobile data means choosing between being clean and being prepared. A judge shifted uncomfortably. Someone in the audience lowered their phone, no longer recording for mockery. But my poverty doesn't diminish my potential. It just makes the journey harder. Quotas don't lower standards. They level playing fields that were never equal to begin with. She spoke for 8 minutes. By the end, her blazer was soaked with sweat, but her voice never wavered again. When she finished, the applause was scattered, uncertain, like they weren't sure if they should clap for someone like her. The results were posted an hour later. Hope had won her round, barely. The lowest possible score to advance. But she'd won. She found her name on the list, ranked 12th of 16 advancing. On her assigned seat for the next round, someone had left a gift. Secret brand deodorant. The expensive kind. The note attached said, "You'll need this more than your brain." Hope picked up the deodorant, examined it, then dropped it in the trash where everyone could see. She sat down and opened her notebook for round 2. The second topic was worse. Private education produces better leaders than public schools. Her opponent this time was Peter Wilson from British International School. His accent was so British he sounded like BBC News. He quoted The Economist, Financial Times, Harvard Business Review, every reference designed to show how educated, how global, how superior private school made you. Hope countered with reality. She talked about doctors who couldn't get residencies in Nigeria and fled to America, engineers who built skyscrapers in Dubai because Lagos had no opportunities, the brain drain that stripped Nigeria of its brightest minds, all educated in the same private schools that claimed to build leaders. Leadership isn't about where you studied, she argued. It's about who you serve. Private schools create excellent employees for multinational corporations. But do they create leaders who understand Nigeria? Who feel Nigeria's pain? Who'll stay and fight for Nigeria's future? She talked about her physics teacher, who had a master's degree but earned less than a bus driver, who still came every day teaching Newton's laws in a classroom with no electricity. That was leadership. That was building Nigeria's future. My school has produced doctors who run free clinics in slums, teachers who start evening schools for street children, engineers who design water pumps for communities government forgot. We may not speak with British accents or quote The Economist, but we know Nigeria. We are Nigeria. This time, the applause was louder, not from everyone. Michael and his crew sat with crossed arms, but others listened, really listened. She advanced again, ranked 8th now, moving up. That evening, as students prepared for day 2, Hope sat alone in the cafeteria. The food smelled amazing. Jollof rice, grilled chicken, fresh salad. Her meal ticket covered basics only. Plain rice, no meat. She ate slowly, making it last. Her phone buzzed. WhatsApp messages in her school's group chat. They were following online, watching the live stream, cheering for her. Mrs. Elizabeth White, her English teacher, sent a voice note. "You're showing them that brilliance has no uniform. We're so proud." Then another buzz. Unknown number. She opened it to find screenshots of a conversation, official looking, from the debate committee. Topic change for tomorrow. New topic. Nigeria should adopt Singapore's education model. Extensive notes attached about Singapore's system. Data, statistics, everything she'd need to prepare. Hope studied it for 3 hours. Used expensive mobile data to research more. Stayed up until 2 a.m. crafting arguments. She knew Singapore's model inside out by morning. But when she arrived for round 3, the topic on screen was different. Social media's impact on traditional Nigerian values. Her stomach dropped. The message had been fake. She had nothing prepared. Around her, other students pulled out notes, ready to debate. She stood frozen. "Miss Johnson?" The moderator called her name. "Are you ready?" Professor Roberts watched from the judges' table. Her expression was cold, unsympathetic. "The round starts in 5 minutes. No excuses. Adapt or forfeit." Hope's hands shook. 3 years of preparation, 3 years of dreams, about to end because someone sent a fake message. She looked across the room. Michael was smirking, actually smirking, his phone in his hand. 4 minutes. She grabbed her notebook, started scribbling. Social media, traditional values. She had no research, no quotes, no statistics, but she had something else. Truth. 3 minutes. Her pen flew across paper, ideas, experiences, reality. 2 minutes. Her opponent would have prepared arguments, professional sources. She'd have only her voice. 1 minute. She stood, walked to the stage, ready or not. Her opponent went first. Perfect preparation. Quoted studies about social media corrupting youth, Instagram destroying traditional respect, Twitter undermining elders. Everything memorized, everything polished. Then Hope's turn. She gripped the podium and spoke from her heart. Traditional values. We talk about them like they're perfect, untouchable. But which traditions? The one that says women shouldn't be educated? The one that says poor children should accept their place? Or maybe the tradition of respecting elders who used their power to keep others down? She talked about her community, how Twitter exposed their water crisis when letters to government did nothing, how viral videos forced action when traditional channels failed, how social media gave voice to those traditions silenced. Yes, I had no time to prepare. Someone sent me a fake topic change last night. Someone in this room. Someone who feared fair competition so much they chose sabotage over substance. Is that our traditional values? Is that the leadership private schools produce? Gasps rippled through the audience. Judges exchanged glances. Michael's smirk vanished. But I'm still here, still speaking, because social media isn't destroying our values. It's exposing which values were worth keeping. Respect, yes, but respect earned, not demanded. Community? Absolutely, but community that includes everyone, not just the wealthy. Truth? Always, even when tradition prefers silence. She spoke without notes, without quotes, just truth flowing like water breaking through a dam. When she finished, the room sat in stunned silence. Then someone started clapping, then another, then more. She won the round, advanced to semi-finals, ranked 5th now, rising. That night, she found her laptop case vandalized. Someone had keyed words into the leather. Fat slum rat. The letters were deep, angry, permanent. She stared at it for a long moment, then took a photo, posted it on Twitter, added one caption. When they can't beat your arguments, they attack your appearance. I'm still here. It went viral within hours. Nigerian Twitter exploded. The hashtag #StillHere began trending. Messages poured in from students across Nigeria, from Kenya, Ghana, South Africa, young people who knew exactly how she felt. Semi-final morning arrived grey and humid. The topic, social media activism creates real change in Nigeria. Her opponent, Rachel Mohammed, oil executive's daughter. Everything about her screamed generational wealth, the kind that made problems disappear with phone calls. Rachel argued that social media was just noise, performative. Hashtags didn't build roads or hospitals. Real change came from real power, traditional channels, government connections, the way things had always been done. Hope stood up slowly. Her body ached from sleeping on the unfamiliar mattress. Her blazer still smelled despite washing it in the sink, but her voice was clear. My cousin died last year. 22 years old, cholera, from contaminated water everyone knew was poisoned. My community had written letters for 5 years, petitioned government, followed every traditional channel. Nothing changed. People kept dying. The room was silent. Even Rachel looked uncomfortable. Then someone posted a video, a mother holding her dead baby by the poisoned well. It went viral, international organizations saw it. Foreign journalists came, Within 1 month, we had water trucks. Within 3 months, new pipes being laid. That baby's death did what 5 years of letters couldn't. Made invisible people visible. She talked about more than water. About police brutality exposed through shaky phone videos. About scholarship funds raised through Twitter threads. About young Nigerians connecting across tribes and states, building movements that crossed every traditional boundary. Social media doesn't replace traditional action. It amplifies voices traditional power structures ignore. It connects those who tradition keeps apart. It exposes what tradition hides. Her voice cracked when she talked about her uncle, shot by police, dumped by the roadside. No investigation until a video surfaced. No justice until hashtags demanded it. You ask if social media creates real change. Ask the families who finally got justice. Ask the communities who finally got water. Ask the students who finally got heard. We're changing Nigeria one post, one video, one hashtag at a time because traditional channels were built to exclude us. So we built our own. When she finished, Rachel looked shaken. The judges wrote furiously. The audience sat in absolute silence. Hope won. She was going to the finals against Michael Anderson. The news spread like wildfire. The girl from Mushin, a crowded, working-class area of Lagos versus the Prince of Privilege. David versus Goliath, the final everyone wanted to see. The next morning, the auditorium was packed, every seat filled. Media crews lined the walls, Punch newspapers, Guardian Nigeria. Someone said CNN Africa was coming. The live stream showed thousands watching online. Hope arrived early, sat in the front row for the first time. Her presence drew stares, whispers, but also something new. Respect, grudging from some, genuine from others. But there, Michael entered like he owned the building. His crew surrounded him. Designer everything, confidence radiating like cologne. He saw Hope and walked straight to her. "Enjoy your moment," he said quietly. "It ends today." "We'll see," Hope replied. The topic appeared on screen. Traditional institutions best preserve Nigerian excellence. Of course, the perfect topic for Michael to defend his world, to argue why places like this should stay exclusive, why excellence meant keeping people like Hope out. They had 30 minutes to prepare. Hope wrote steadily. Not facts or figures this time, she had something better. Truth, raw and undeniable. The hall filled to capacity. Standing room only, the energy was electric. 3 senior judges sat ready. The moderator called them forward. Michael went first. His argument was brilliant, polished. He talked about standards, global competitiveness, the danger of lowering bars. He quoted business leaders, academics, international rankings. His delivery was flawless, every gesture practiced, every pause calculated. Excellence requires environment, he declared. Traditional institutions provide that environment. The resources, the networks, the standards that create leaders who can compete globally. When we dilute these institutions with diversity quotas, we risk losing what makes them excellent. He never said, poor students, but everyone heard it. His argument was subtle, sophisticated, appealing to fears about Nigeria falling behind, about maintaining standards that just happened to exclude people like Hope. The applause was strong. His friends cheered, some judges nodded. He'd done exactly what everyone expected, defended his world eloquently. Then Hope rose. The walk to the podium felt different this time. Not endless, purposeful. She adjusted the microphone, looked out at the packed auditorium, found Michael's eyes, held them. "My opponent speaks eloquently about excellence, about standards, about tradition. Let me tell you about the excellence I've experienced this week." Her voice was steady, strong. 3 days had transformed her fear into fuel. "I received fake topic changes designed to sabotage me. Had my property vandalized. Been mocked for my appearance, my smell, my background. Had deodorant left on my seat like I'm too stupid to know I'm poor. This is the excellence traditional institutions preserve." Gasps rippled through the crowd. The judges leaned forward. "But let's talk about real excellence. The teacher who tutored me for free because he saw potential poverty couldn't hide. The cyber cafe owner who let me use internet on credit during emergencies. The mother who sold her wrapper so I could buy a blazer for this competition. That's excellence, human excellence, the kind that builds nations. She pulled out her phone, showed the vandalized laptop case, the fake messages, evidence of everything she'd endured. You want to preserve this? This system that's so fragile, so weak that my presence threatens it. That needs lies and vandalism to protect itself? If your excellence can't survive competition from a girl from Mushin, a crowded working-class area of Lagos, it's not excellent, it's afraid. The room was dead silent. Even Michael's friends had stopped smiling. Traditional institutions have their place, but not as gatekeepers, not as fortresses protecting privilege. Excellence isn't preserved by exclusion, it's strengthened by inclusion, by bringing together the brilliant rich kid and the brilliant poor kid, by combining perspectives, by building institutions strong enough to educate anyone, regardless of their postal code. She talked about other countries, South Korea's transformation through inclusive education, Singapore's merit-based system that lifted all boats, Rwanda's recovery built on educating everyone, not just elites. Nigeria has brilliant minds in every corner, in mansions and slums, in private schools and public disasters we call schools. Traditional institutions that recognize only one kind of brilliance waste our greatest resource. Our people. Her voice rose with passion, not shouting, just truth demanding to be heard. You tried to break me this week, all of you, with your whispers and your wrinkled noses and your fake messages. But I'm still here, still speaking, still proving that excellence isn't about your father's bank account or your mother's connections or your British accent. It's about your mind, your heart. Your refusal to accept that birthplace determines worth. She looked directly at Michael. Which excellence includes fake messages and vandalism? Which tradition says sabotage is better than competition? You didn't just attack me, you proved my point. Your excellence is so fragile it can't handle a fair fight, so you cheated, and everyone here knows it. Michael's face flushed red, his hands clenched. But I thank you, because you showed everyone what we're really debating, not excellence versus mediocrity, but exclusion versus inclusion, fear versus fairness, the past versus the future. And Nigeria's future isn't in protecting privilege, it's in unleashing potential, all of it, everywhere. She stepped back from the podium. For a moment, nobody moved. Then the applause started, not from Michael's section, but from others. Students who'd watched in silence all week, who'd seen the bullying, the sabotage, the cruelty. They stood, more joined. Soon half the auditorium was on its feet. The judges deliberated for 40 minutes. The longest deliberation in competition history. When they returned, their faces were unreadable. The head judge stood, cleared his throat. The room held its breath. This decision was difficult. Both debaters showed skill, but debate is more than delivery. It's about truth, impact, the power to change minds. By unanimous decision, the winner of the National Youth Debate Championship is Hope Johnson. The explosion of sound was deafening. Cheers, shouts, applause that shook the walls. Hope stood frozen. Had she heard right? She'd won. The girl from Mushin, a crowded working-class area of Lagos, had won. Michael stormed out. No handshake. No congratulations. His father was probably already making calls. But it didn't matter, not anymore. Professor Roberts approached. For the first time all week, she looked directly at Hope. Really looked. You've taught us all something. Excellence we couldn't see because we weren't looking. Thank you. The next hours blurred. Photos, interviews, trophy presentation. Her phone exploded with messages. Her school, her neighborhood, people she'd never met, all celebrating, all proud. Later, back in her room, the truth emerged. Investigation revealed Michael had paid $800 to hack the debate system, to send fake messages, to ensure Hope failed. But she hadn't failed. She'd risen, and his cheating was exposed for everyone to see. He lost his guaranteed admission to Yale. His father's money couldn't fix this, not with evidence, not with media attention, not with #still here trending globally. Hope received scholarship offers from 3 top Nigerian universities. Full rides, everything covered. CEOs reached out about internships, mentorship, opportunities that had seemed impossible a week ago. When she finally got home to Mushin, a crowded working-class area of Lagos, the neighborhood was waiting. Drums beating, people dancing, her mother crying and laughing simultaneously. "You showed them, my daughter. You showed them brilliance has no address." That night in their small room, Hope held her trophy. It was heavy, real, proof that she'd stood in rooms that weren't built for her and refused to shrink. Her siblings touched it reverently. Her mother placed it on their highest shelf where everyone could see. 6 months later, Hope stood on a TEDx stage in Lagos. Same body, same background, but different presence. She owned her space now. Commanded attention not despite her size, but through her spirit. "They thought my poverty was weakness," she told the audience. "But poverty teaches resilience money can't buy. They thought my smell was shameful, but it was honest. The smell of struggle, of survival, of refusing to give up when giving up would be easier." She launched the Mushin, a crowded working-class area of Lagos Debate Initiative, teaching public school students to find their voices, to stand in hostile rooms and speak truth. Corporate sponsors lined up, not charity, investment, in brilliance that just needed platforms. Netflix Nigeria called. They wanted to document her story, show the world that African excellence wasn't limited to the wealthy, that Nigeria's future lay not in protecting privilege, but in unleashing potential. "I still weigh 300 pounds, Hope said in her TED Talk. "I still sweat when I'm nervous, still sound different from those trained in expensive schools, but I no longer apologize for taking up space. This body carried a brilliant mind into rooms that tried to reject it. This voice spoke truth power didn't want to hear. This heart refused to accept that postal codes determine potential." The audience rose. Applause thundered, but Hope remembered different applause. Scattered, uncertain, from people unsure if someone like her deserved recognition. She'd earned their respect, forced them to see beyond appearance to essence. A year later, Michael's father's bank sponsored her debate program. Not from kindness, from pragmatism. Nigeria was changing. Old barriers breaking. Smart money bet on inclusion, not exclusion. On brilliance wherever it bloomed. Hope trained hundreds of students, many like her, poor, fat, smelling of struggle, but burning with brilliance society tried to dim. She taught them to walk into hostile rooms with heads high, to speak truth to power, to refuse shame others tried to force on them. "Excellence isn't measured by your dress size," she told them, or your accent, or your address. It's measured by your impact, your truth, your refusal to let others define your worth. Some went on to win competitions. Others found different stages. All learned to own their space, to demand seats at tables that tried to exclude them, to build new tables when old ones stayed locked. The girl from Mushin, a crowded working-class area of Lagos, had done more than win a debate. She'd started a movement, proved that Nigeria's excellence lived everywhere, in slums and suburbs, in bodies of all sizes, in voices of all accents, waiting to be heard, demanding to be included. Traditional institutions still existed, still mattered, but they evolved, slowly, painfully, but inevitably, because Hope had shown the cost of exclusion, the waste of brilliance, the lie that excellence belonged only to the privileged. She still lived in Mushin, a crowded working-class area of Lagos, still took buses, still shopped in markets. But she walked differently now, like someone who'd faced her deepest fears and won, who'd turned mockery into motivation, who'd proved that dignity isn't determined by deodorant, but by daring to be yourself in spaces that demand you disappear. The trophy sat on the family shelf, dusty now, overshadowed by other achievements, but still there, reminder of the day a poor girl walked into Nigeria's elite institution and refused to apologize for existing. The day excellence expanded to include everyone. The day Nigeria began to understand that its future lay not in protecting the past, but in embracing every brilliant mind, regardless of the body that carried it. That's the story of Hope Johnson, the girl who smelled like poverty and spoke like power, who proved that brilliance doesn't need perfume, just opportunity, just platforms, just the chance to be heard. Remember her when you're told you don't belong, when your appearance becomes ammunition against you, when privilege tries to protect itself through cruelty. Remember that excellence isn't about exclusion. It's about impact, truth, the courage to stand in hostile spaces and insist on being seen. Excellence is everywhere, in every body, every background, every story society tries to silence. Listen for it, fight for it, demand it. Because Nigeria's future, Africa's future, the world's future, depends on unleashing all brilliance, not just the perfumed kind.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story and its message, please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. That way, you'll never miss out on more great stories like this one.